Hello, adventurers, and welcome to episode 7 of CORECAST the Corepunk podcast. I'm your host, the creator called BOAST, and with me tonight we've got two guests. That's right, you heard it. Two guests, and we've got a first timer on tonight, which I'm very excited about. So, with us again is Dvalin. That's DVALINDK on YouTube and DVALIN on Twitch. He's constantly creating Corepunk content from day one, even day zero, day -1, maybe. He's still on his grind. He's got some new videos out now, which some of the content that we're going to talk about tonight, he has covered in those videos and will continue to cover going forward. And with us tonight for the first time on the show, but we've been trying to get him on here for a while, so it's not without hard work on everyone's part to finally make this happen. We've got Shievo, and you've seen him on Discord, I'm sure. He's got a YouTube channel you can check out as well, and we will put links to that in the chat for Dvalin as well. Not in the chat, rather, but in the description. I'm getting ahead of myself because I've got some Twitch vibes flowing through my blood. But this is for YouTube. This is the CoreCast podcast, episode 7. Shievo and Dvalin on tonight, and we've got a lot to talk about. We had 15 minutes of gameplay, we had an IGN interview, and we also had a Q&A on the Discord. So, Shievo, welcome to CoreCast.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Great to finally get you on here. I know we've been wanting to do that for a while, so this is really cool. And Dvalin, welcome back. Pleasure as always.
Thank you. Pleasure is also here.
Good. So before we get started, as I mentioned, Twitch vibes flowing through my blood. I've got a Twitch channel, among other things, and we're going to be kicking that thing back into gear starting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. That's Central European time. And I'm going to sit there, I'm going to have coffee, and I'm going to warm up to the day talking about Corepunk. And I invite everyone from the community to join me there, give me questions, comments, ask me anything, and let's have some coffee or some tea together and talk about Corepunk. I mean, guys, is there a better way to start your day?
There is none. I'm a coffee guy myself, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So we're going to be kicking that off, but that's for tomorrow. Tonight, we've got a show for you. Dvalin and Shievo here to talk about some content that was revealed, among other things. So before we get into that, though, since it is Shievo's first time on the show, we have a bit of an introduction to take care of, as well as our reoccurring tradition here on the show, which is the new person needs to describe their dream class. So Shievo, kick it off. Let us know a little bit about yourself, your history in the gaming world, and then we can get into what your dream class is for Corepunk.
Yeah, sure. So most people know me as Shievo. They call me Shievo. I call myself Shievo on everything. My real name is Mass, and most people in the community actually knows me as the guy who counted trees in the first announcement trailer.
Your claim to fame.
That is my claim to fame.
So far.
I started playing MMOs with WoW back in vanilla, and I was like 11 years old. And throughout my WoW career, I've both done mythic and casual rating and been part of a top 100 for like a brief moment. So when it comes to my dream class, I've been thinking, and I'm thinking as to how it looks, I'd say something if you know Karma from League of Legends or Symmetra from Overwatch, something like that. A maca skin color character with some blue clothes and stuff like that. And when it comes to abilities, I played a game called Arcade, where there was a system with abilities that I absolutely loved. And there was 2 abilities that had like multi-use. So it was a healing ability. So when used on an ally, it would just give like a small burst heal, like a flash heal. But if used on an enemy, it would give a burst damage. and it will have like a pretty long cooldown. And then she would have a buff where if you threw it on an ally, it would increase healing taken on that ally. And if you threw it on an enemy, it would reduce the cooldown of the healing ability if you dealt damage on that guy, so you could keep dealing damage. And that was how you did the hybrid class thing with that character. Um, I should probably say that I'm probably planning on playing support, so that's why hybrid also fits me very well. And then the other two abilities should be some kind of playmaking. So I'm a huge fan of Leap of Faith in WoW or the Thresh Lantern in League of Legends, where you can pull an ally to you out of danger. And then some kind of movement speed boost or something like that. So people can also get out of danger using that, just making life easier for raid or guild.
Very nice.
It sounds like if Karma and Trish and a priest from World of Warcraft had a kid together in a threesome, it would probably
Yeah.
be your class.
Probably something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's a nice visual to start off with, too. This is a really cool character. What I like about, for example, Symmetra is sort of the mix of like metal and cloth, and
Yeah.
yeah, it just has an overall really cool look, sort of old school but sort of futuristic at the same time. Um, Sort of that sci fantasy thing going on, which is really cool. Definitely like the character description as well. And it sounds like a fun character to play, and it sounds like a more advanced
Yeah,
character.
a lot of decision making, right? Do you heal or do you deal damage? Do you buff your enemy or do you debuff the enemy and stuff like that?
Exactly. Yeah, that sounds fun, and those can be very fun to play because you're juggling through the abilities, and if you can get a good flow going, it just feels so great to have those always like off cooldown and ready to go, and just kind of going
Yeah.
one through the other. Dvalin, how's this play into your nature freaky tastes?
Well, I mean, it's this class Shievo is talking about is a class that is very it's not the major of the people you will find that will want to play something like this, but it's also we need people like this in our groups.
That's right.
So I definitely, this sounds like a cool one. I could definitely see some holy priest, disciplined priest in you somewhere. And if you join the Alanian and get some nice tree armor, I will be your friend.
I'm actually a Quadari.
Then we're not friends.
I'd say Elanian probably the second one on my list, but I like the politics they described in the newsletter. It's going to be very some kind of underground culture or something like that in the Quadari.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's the world is starting to shape before our eyes, and I think it's at a really nice pace. I think it's at a great pace. I think you know, our hearts are crying for more content and more information, um, or maybe our minds are crying for more content and more information. But our, um, I think in my heart at least, I wouldn't want like everything just to be poured out all at once. Um, I like the sort of trickle out information that we're getting, and
Yeah.
I think it's cool that we're slowly starting to get to know this world, and it's been like that with the gameplay and that kind of content as well too, right? Like we're
It also keeps my interest going, definitely.
exactly.
Yeah, like if they just like told me everything about it and I could just look up anything I wanted about the game, I'd probably theory craft maybe some specs and stuff. I'm planning on doing tutorials on characters when the game come out. So I'd probably do something like that for like the first 4 or 5 months, and then I'd have to just sit there and wait for the last month, right? But now
Right.
as it's trickling in, there's always something to talk about or something new coming out that we can do, right? So
Yeah, that's cool. And so this would be a healer class, right? As you mentioned,
a support class,
support.
actually. Yeah,
Yeah, more utility, more like utility
yeah,
support than healer.
exactly.
And Dvalin, you recently sort of kind of switched the role you want to play. Is that right?
Well, the same role, but I changed my mind totally on what I want. Before I was this druid guy who transformed to a bear or a tree, depending on what he's gonna do. Um, but now I'm actually really hyped about playing a tank with a two-handed weapon. So you know, like a bad example, for example, a Death Knight in World of Warcraft, the Blood Spec, they are tanking with a big two-handed weapon, and that is actually really awesome. And I really like the idea that you can actually tank with a two-handed weapon and you don't need to hide behind your shield, but you are so strong and brave that you can actually tank with a two-handed weapon. So I'm crossing my fingers that this game is going to have some kind of a tank with a two-handed weapon, even if it's a staff, even if it's a sword or mace. I'll main
Yeah.
it.
Are
Right.
you looking at it like a Death Knight, right? The Death Knight, if for those who don't know, a Death Knight tanks with the way that they get health depending on how much damage they deal. So they're required to hit the enemy with the two-handed axe to get health back, and that's how they survive the damage from the enemies. Is that what you're looking for in it, or?
Well, actually, no. It's more just the thing that it's a tank with a two-handed weapon.
Okay.
And then of course the mechanics can be different. I mean, in a Blood Death Knight is getting life by stealing the blood from the enemies when attacking, but it
Yeah.
could also be a paladin who hits so hard with his two-handed sword that he gets healing, or you know something like that, or arcane warrior. So
Yeah.
anything, just a tank with
So
a
more
two-handed
visually
weapon.
like the class fantasy, right?
Exactly.
Visually, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Eugene, I know you are right now creating a druid for me. You can scrap that project. I know you used a lot of hours on it, but now I want
Oh
a two-handed
man.
tank now.
Just cut
Oh.
him off halfway. Just cancel the character. Make another one.
So when the next delay happens, we can blame that on Dvalin.
Probably.
In
Yeah.
fact, we could probably go back and blame this most recent delay on Dvalin as well, just to be safe.
Yeah. Just making sure, right?
Yeah. So you mentioned League of Legends and of course Overwatch as well. Are these two games you invested a lot of time in?
Oh, I have way too much time on my hands, so I've tried most MMOs and most games I've had a hand in, or not had a
Okay.
hand in. I tried, right? Right now, I play mostly League of Legends. Um, I'm a coach for a team in League of Legends right now.
Dope.
Um, Yeah, yeah, I've had my hand in like most MMOs and stuff. One of my favorite MMOs actually to be released is Wildstar, and I know a lot of people in the Corepunk community loved Wildstar. We're all getting Wildstar vibes from Corepunk too. So
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think I have created over 100 videos about Wildstar. I mean, I freaking
yeah,
love that. I love that game so much.
Is it
yeah.
a Danish League of Legends team?
It is actually not. It's a so a group of my friends decided to start playing League of Legends like 4 months ago. And they
Ah, I
all
see.
so they wanted to play together, but they all wanted to get better, but they had nobody to teach them, so I had to teach themselves. And then I started teaching them, and I ended up being their coach. So now I help them. I watch their games and tell them things that they can work on for the next time and
Cool.
stuff like that.
Well, what lane are you playing?
I'm currently top lane.
Okay.
Very cool. I actually
What
picked
are
League
you
up
looking
again.
to play together? Oh,
Dvalin?
he got quiet.
Yeah, he stole
Oh,
his
you
top
lost
lane.
him.
That's why.
No. I heard you. I heard you both saying, but I heard both you saying you actually started playing League again.
Yeah, I picked it up again. Um, just you know, for reasons.
For
Okay.
reasons.
Yeah, and
I mean,
I just like looking to because I at the moment I'm playing The Witcher 3 and I'm playing the first Last of Us and it's a lot of third person action and so I'm trying to keep my sort of isometric chops going.
I see.
Yeah, and it's a
Yeah.
fun game anyway.
I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself a bit, but from what we've seen now after the new thing that they released, right, it looks to be the exact same pace as League of Legends, right? So if you think about like level 2 and 3 in League of Legends, it's the exact same pace that the fight is going on in.
Yeah,
So
it seems so. It seems to pull a lot of inspiration from League.
yeah.
All right. So that's Shievo, his introduction, his dream class, and sort of a bit about what we've been up to and doing lately, I guess. I mentioned what I'm playing lately, guys. What are you guys playing right now? Like right now, right now.
Yeah, I'm playing League of Legends.
Okay.
Well, that's the problem with me. I'm actually playing nothing right now because I don't feel like
Oh.
there's any game that I like right now. I'm trying every single game, but I can't find anything that I want to invest my time in. So please just release Corepunk now.
That's right. That's right.
I know, right?
So this has been the first topic of the night, Shievo's intro and dream class. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with topic 2, where we talk about our highlights from the 15 minutes of gameplay.
Hello, my name is Dvalin. Are you looking for a YouTuber or a content creator who are mostly talking about Corepunk and actually have met the Corepunk developers in real life and even on the Christmas day? Well, that's me. Go to youtube.com/dvalindk, DVALINDK. Again, youtube.com/dvalindk. I am doing a lot of content about Corepunk, but also about other MMORPG games and RPG games. So come and follow me and follow the journey through Corepunk the game itself. Thank you and have a nice life.
Okay, welcome back to CORECAST, the Corepunk podcast, again with BOAST, Shievo, and Dvalin. Guys, we saw 15 minutes of gameplay the other day. We first got a sort of a tease of it during the IGN Summer of Gaming with an interview attached to that with Eugene. And then after that, they dropped the full 15 minutes trailer, the full 15 minutes gameplay video. And we got to see sort of a slice of the game and sort of a slice of a mission being taken and started, and then sort of a checkpoint, if you will, of that mission. So I want to talk about the 15 minutes of gameplay, and I want to have these guys talk about their highlights from that 15 minutes of gameplay. So Shievo, let's start with you. What were your highlights from the gameplay video?
Yes. So my highlights were definitely the voice acting, that they're planning on voice acting every single quest. I am the kind of guy when playing games with quests, I never read the quest. I just go to where the quest tells me to go.
Yeah,
And then I start killing things, and if that didn't work, I start clicking on things, and if that didn't work, read the quest, right?
right.
So the voice acting actually helps me keep me engaged, and there's been some talk in the Discord that she shouldn't stop talking when you walk away from her, so you can actually start moving towards it and listen to the quest text while doing it.
Right. Yeah, I
And
had a
this,
thought on that. What would be cool is if the audio faded out and it got lower once you got further away from her, because it does stopped or it does stop very abruptly
yeah,
when they would walk away. But maybe that's just the early alpha thing. But having it trail off would be really cool. But I think in this case, you're suggesting that it just plays to the end, that you just hear it. It's
yeah.
like,
I don't know how. So it kind of depends on which faction you're from, how technological they are, right? But in some games they do the thing where the sound is coming from the character, and as you walk away, it gets lower. But then it sounds like it starts coming from a device or
like
a
your
radio or
headset or
something like that.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So you're still listening to her talk, and she's just talking to you through that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you could also have it too, so where there was like a little play button within the quest log that you could like have the audio, the voiceover play again. That would be kind of cool too, in case you wanted that. But yeah, it's a good point. I think for realism, it needs to trail off. It can't stop abruptly like that. It was actually kind of
Yeah.
jarring. Um, but for the sake of actually understanding what to do, I agree with you 100% of listening it to the end, because in games that it's just text, I really just click as fast as possible to get the quest into the log so I can get onto it.
Oh, definitely.
Dvalin?
I also get very impatient.
Dvalin, what did you think about the voiceover in the?
Well, the voiceover is actually one of my points also. I'm really excited to see if the game is gonna have full voiceover like in Elder Scrolls Online and Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Yeah.
Um, I'm excited to see if it's the full or if it's actually just a main campaign. I mean, this could be actually just a main campaign mission. So all the other off quests or side quests, they don't have voiceovers, but the main campaign has. I mean, we don't know, but if it's all the quests in the game, I'm impressed. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts on that as well. I understand why you would make the decision to just have it on the main quest because it's going to give enough life and enough enjoyment out of the voiceover to sort of carry it along with the least amount of time and effort put into that. Um, but I think to split it like that is always kind of weird to me when I'm playing a game and I'm getting voice for the majority of it, but I don't get it on the side quests. I always found that a little weird. Though again, I understand why that decision would be made. But then unfortunately, that's not a decision for the player. That's a decision for time management and for the production team to make. So that's a tough one.
He actually answered that, I believe. Somebody asked if there's going to be an all quests, and I think Eugene answered that quest without voice acting was dull or something like that. I think,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is
yeah,
a really good point, and I really feel like uh, this would have to be their answer because this is how they look at this. Like they're making something that they're really passionate about, that they really care about, and that they want to be the best experience for the player as possible. So I'm not surprised if that's his answer, because I truly see them trying to go above and beyond to make it a great experience, and it's much more immersive when you have voice over the whole time. That said, though, Star Wars: The Old Republic, as Dvalin mentioned, they made one of the unique selling points of that game. They made one of the main pillars of that game the fact that it was fully voiced. And because of that, they invested too much into that mechanic and supporting that. And they didn't deliver on a lot of the rest of the game, which they've sort of started to do now. And the game's actually pretty fun now. But when the game launched, it was very limited. And a lot of that was because they had spent so much time and effort. They had, made the decision at some point that, okay, we can do so much work and we're going to dedicate it to fully voicing the game. And so it was actually hurt the game because of that. And that's just my one fear is that, um, this is going to be a lot of work and I just hope that something else doesn't get cut or pulled out of the game that would make the actual gameplay better to fully voice it. But if they can somehow pull it off where they fully voice the game and something else in the game doesn't suffer for it, then I think that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, I was thinking kind of that way also. I'm afraid if they begin to voice over every mission, they are losing their losing their focus on a lot of other stuff. Except if they just have one little department, three people sitting and just only focusing about doing the voiceovers, and it doesn't have any impact on the other side of the company. But yeah, I'm also afraid that they're using so much energy on this voiceover because I mean, for me personally, I don't care about voiceovers. It's nice to have, but can I live without it? Yes, they don't have it in World of Warcraft, and this game is running pretty good.
Yeah. Also, to be fair and to kind of counter my point that I made with Star Wars: The Old Republic, is that those cutscenes were also like fully animated and like they had full cutscenes for all of the conversations, and so this is a bit different than what we've seen here so far. Where they also have the text version of the conversation up there, I believe, with like a little avatar portrait of the character that's talking. So you're not seeing the lips moving and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, to Dvalin's point there, they could potentially pull this off, but the just the job of coordinating all of these actors to be recorded, um, and to get good takes from them and to be able to then put it in the game is a crap load of work. So yeah, I if they do pull it off, it's going to be so sick, guys.
It would be amazing, but yeah, valid concern. Really is. I was thinking that maybe I don't know. We have no idea their budget, right? But they could be outsourcing the voice acting, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's definitely the possibility of doing this. I guess just the point is like I just hope it doesn't affect anything else negatively. But
Yeah.
so far, yeah, voice acting was really cool to see. You start to get real life in the world and see like the characters that are living there and what they're all about. The next highlight from you, Shivo?
Yes. I was actually leading off the voice acting with reading the quest because of the quest arrow. I talked about how I always just moved to where the quest told me to go, but
Right.
we there was a quest arrow that is only there briefly to lead you in the right direction, and then it disappears. Right. So you do have to follow the quest to do that. My second thing is also, so when you do the quest, we saw some multiple choice quests at the very end of the trailer.
Yeah.
The guy says that he's gonna let you live if you go fetch something for him, and you can either accept or deny that, right? And they denied it in the video and started fighting.
Right.
And I can imagine accepting that could lead you in another trail where you go do quests for him, and then you come back with whatever he wants, and then maybe some more story could happen there, like he betrays you or something like that, and you end up fighting anyways.
Right. Yeah, really cool. It opens up definitely some options there. That's cool to see. Dvalin, what was your take on the choice of the quest there?
Well, it's nice to have these choices, but we have also got confirmed. I'm pretty sure we got confirmed somewhere that these choice. I think that's actually from the interview he said that, but I saw it somewhere. But we saw that these choices you can take is giving you different options in the world happening, but they will not impact your story. They will not impact like the world. It's only like right now here. Are you gonna shit in your pants, jizz in your pants, or but that's everything. Then you get to clean pants on again, and everything forgot it.
That was probably the most unfamily friendly thing you've ever said.
and way too visual for me. I imagined all of that, and I regret it.
Oh man. Ay caramba. Okay, what an example. But good point though. Good point.
Clean pants at the end, no matter which way you went, right?
Exactly.
So it didn't
That was his
matter.
point.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone will have clean pants in the end.
Oh man. Okay. And Dvalin, 15 minutes of gameplay. What were some of your highlights, if you have anything different from those that Shivo mentioned?
Yeah, actually, well, the first one was also the speech over, but the second one I had was, well, I don't want to talk about all the things that people actually saw, because that's, great combat, all that. But one of the things I really looked on was the mature humor, the adult humor, where one of the NPC, the lady that is talking in our headset, she basically said, "Oh, okay, so you're getting closer to this community by helping building their sex robot." And
Right.
when I heard them saying the word sex robot, I was like, this is the first game I'm playing where they actually said sex robot. I've never heard any games talking about a sex robot. So I was like, okay, this game is definitely gonna be on a next level of major. I mean, it's we're gonna see strippers, sex robots, everything in this game, and I've never seen any MMO close to this with this level of adult.
Yeah, I mean,
It does raise some. Sorry, it does raise some concerns that. Also about to say, oh yeah, a lot of games has to pull back on these and censor themselves when they have to actually release it for a publisher and stuff. And they said they haven't picked a publisher yet, right? So if they end up with a publisher that wants them to be a little bit more family friendly, so it stays mature but not adult, and they're scared of getting the adult rating, then they might pull back on some of these things that you mentioned.
Yeah, that would be a shame because as I get older and as I'm now a seasoned adult, um, I love this fun uh, adult humor that's in here. And as we're having this conversation, this background video that was on the site there before that shows this downtown area with like this like ball gag image and the drug sign and all this kind of stuff in the city there. It's fun because it feels like I'm not playing a game that's made specifically for kids. You know, this isn't Fortnite. This is going to be a game with some dark humor to it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. I can really get behind it. I
Y-
did some age ratings with the ESRB and with some of the international ratings boards as well for games. And so far, what I've seen in there, it's none of this is enough to get them this adult only
Adult
rating.
rated.
Yeah, this is all just mature stuff. This is references to drugs and alcohol and adult content, sexual content, and stuff like that.
Did,
This is nothing too crazy, but this is just the surface of what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
but have they really said they don't have a publisher? I actually thought it was a self-publishing company.
No, I believe they said that when we were asked who was going to publish it, they just said that they don't have one yet. So I don't think we know if they're going to use a publisher or if they're going to publish it themselves. I might be wrong there, don't hang me up on it, but
Well, I mean, if the game gets enough attention, then we know who's gonna get it. Epic Games.
Yeah, well, also like getting a publisher at their scale can mean a lot of different things. It doesn't necessarily mean someone that's going to fund the game. It's can be as little as just helping you distribute the game internationally. Various things like that. Provide marketing and PR for you. So this could mean many things. They might have all the things covered that we would expect them to get from a traditional big publisher, and is where maybe they're just looking for distribution at this point. Who knows?
yeah.
Yeah, because normally if you get one of the big publishers, you're also forced to release your game on one of their launches. But we already have confirmed that. Well, Eugene said that they are going to release the game first in their own launcher. Equal means that it cannot be Origin, Ubisoft, Epic Games, and so on.
Yeah, unless it's one of those weird things like Final Fantasy has where you launch it through Steam and then it launches their own launcher and then you press launch again to launch the game. It gets so
Oh, oh
yeah, it
God,
gets so
no.
complicated and conflicted.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we got. All right, Dvalin, anything else to add to the 15 minutes gameplay?
No, that's all.
I just got one thing before we go on to the next topic. Dude, this motorcycle drive-by. Oh my God. Dvalin, I'm sorry to tell you this here live and in front of all these people that are tuning in, but I'm leaving the Blue Bambies. I'm going to start up my own motorcycle gang, and we're just going to roam Kovat with our motorcycles. Sorry, brother.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, don't go into the forest.
There was the fight back. I was about to say there was never a fight back there. You were just like, oh, get a lever.
Yeah.
But I guess you're banned from the forest now, though.
Yeah, no forest. No, for real though. This got me so hyped for mounts. I can't wait to see what kind of cool stuff there is. I mean, we've seen the spider mounts. This is the kind that I'm really like excited for. Um, all these like technical and like engineered kind of things. I think that's just really the tip of the iceberg from the mounts we're going to see. I think we might potentially see some crazy mounts in this game.
Definitely. And I hope we get them, like most of them, through gameplay and not the cosmetic store.
Yeah, same. Having to
Not that I'm not going to pay money for it. I want to support them, right?
for sure, but also having like the chance to go on some crazy quests to get some like really rare epic mounts or whatever would be really cool.
Definitely. I mean, the best mount you can get is always from the last boss in the raid.
Mm.
Oh,
That's
definitely.
so.
I'd agree. Or the highest rank in PvP, right? Those two should be the two pillars of the craziest mounts you can get.
Exactly.
This has been the coverage and highlights from the 15 minutes of gameplay. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back with topic number 3, where we're going to talk about the Q&A in the Discord and some of our highlights from there.
Greetings, adventurer, and welcome to Corepunk, an MMORPG where you'll experience fog of war in a vast, seamless open world. Miles and miles of wilderness to get lost in. Discover a small camp in the middle of nowhere. Or a busy metropolis booming with life and activity. You are free to go wherever you want. Use public transport to reach remote locations fast and safe. Begin your journey by creating a hero. Each has its own unique role, abilities, and a set of fighting styles. Complete quests for NPCs who are too busy to do it themselves.
You're gonna need a better gear for that.
Kill monsters to earn gold. Shred them with your best move. Be careful, though. They get pretty crafty when fighting as a unit. Grow crops. Chop wood. Mine ore. Trade goods for missing resources to craft the weapon you deserve. Suit up. It won't make you stronger, but you'll look absolutely fabulous. Choose a set of talents. Boost yourself with artifacts to become the ultimate war machine. Use Fog of War wisely to hunt down and ambush your enemies. Attack those who dared to take your farming spot. Then chill in a city, show off your loot, and find reckless companions to take on a challenge that no one else has the guts for.
We will come again. We'll come again until we're done. 'Cause only those who win, only those will stand their ground. No one leaves until we're done. When we stand as one, we won't leave till we're done. When we stand as one, we won't leave till
Sign up for beta at corepunk.com.
All right, welcome back to CORECAST the Corepunk podcast. This is topic number 3 for the night of episode 7, and the top 3 Q and A. So either the top 3 questions or the top 3 answers. If you guys have those, I want to hear them. I want to know what stood out to you guys the most from the Q&A that we just had in the Discord. Who wants to
Yeah.
start?
I want to start off with that I was actually really happy to see, and we actually already knew this, but we got like confirmed about leveling up your specializations, where they said that your all 3 specializations would have a separate XP bar, and then you have to level them up individually. And I'm really happy about that, because in other MMOs you can have the paladin who can play healer, tank, and DPS, and you'll have a guy who play DPS all the way up to the max, and then he'll tell you, yeah, I can heal, why not? And then he switches on the spot, and then he has no idea how to play his specialization or class.
Right.
And this forces people to like go through the whole learning curve of how your class works, what your abilities does, and slowly introduces new stuff to you. And I'm really happy to see that.
So the question was, this is from Crimson, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we are aware that one character has access to all 3 weapon specializations. Would you be able to elaborate on how that works? Does your level reset entirely to 1 when swapping to a new weapon, or are there skill trees more like a Paragon system after maxing one weapon. And Pashak said, level of your weapon's specialization resets after you swap specialization, and you will have to level up a new specialization. And yeah, so you added your reason to there, and you want to read that?
What I said before was actually my reason to
Yeah.
it, and that was that it adds a learning curve to it.
Yeah, right, exactly. So you
Yeah.
gave a specific example, though.
I did give a
Yeah.
specific example that so when
Yeah,
you
so it's the same as what you listed there, right? You just specifically listed it as a core punk character, but yeah, going very quickly from one spec to the other is not ideal in a situation where you want someone who needs to be Johnny on the spot and keep up with you, so to
Yeah.
speak, where you're at.
Yeah, exactly. The specific Corepunk character I listed was Bomber Girl was confirmed to have a healing spec, right? So you have a damage dealing Bomber Girl, and all of a sudden she switches over and says, "Yeah, I can heal for you," and then it takes you ages to get through the dungeon. And in a game without a group finder, which we have confirmed it will not have, actually finding someone new will take longer. So you will actually be have to sit there and teach them how to play the class instead of them having knowing it already. So seeing that there's a specialization level thing is it just excites me so much.
Yeah, very cool. Dvalin, what are you thinking about this one?
Uh, well, I probably have to be the skeptic one. Um, but I'm actually a fan of games where you can level up a character in this spec, and then you can always just change your one of your free specs and play that. But again, in normally in games you have to, let's say for example, if you play tank in a game and you're level full up, then you want to be DPS now. Well, then you actually need to get a DPS weapon. Of course, you could be lucky; you just got a DPS weapon, and yeah, then you have it. Um, but I mean, we don't really know what this means. That okay, of course you have to level up your skills, but maybe you're still gonna deal a lot of damage when you're max level. Maybe you just don't have a lot of passives and maybe some few spells or something like that. So I would still be able. I would still like to be able to level up my character to max level. Then I have my tank spec in max level. But if I want to be a healer now, I still feel like it should be okay to maybe do a normal dungeon. Maybe not the hardest dungeon in the game, but I feel like it. I don't want to go back to level one zone with my shiny armor and say hello to the guy who just created an account in his farmer armor. Like, oh, and I'm like, I'm gonna post a meme. Oh, first time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh no, I had a thought and I lost it.
until I memed you.
Yeah, until you memed, I started laughing at the joke instead of saying what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, so the thing that I was most looking for was forcing people to learn their spec before they say, "Hey, yeah, I can heal," right? And you talked about that you have to go get your DPS weapon, but you can get that while being a tank, right? So you can get that without having to learn how to be a DPS, and that was what I was thinking there. But yeah, I can see just like going into lower dungeons, or something like that while you're learning how it all works.
All right. So, Dvalin, do you have a question or answer from the Q&A that tickled your fancy?
Yeah, I actually have. Two, actually. I can do it quickly. But the first one was that we got confirmed. Well, actually, the question was that if we're going to see any kind of zones or dungeons or caves from the dwarf theme. And Pishak answered, not something he can talk about right now. He's not even sure if that's coming. But he just dropped a bomb saying one of the specializations for the dwarf is going to be double X,
Mm.
dual wills, of course. And we already have seen one of the dwarfs with where it's having a like some kind of a shotgun slash sniper. But Eugene earlier confirmed that one of the other specs for this one is also going to be some kind of a sniper build. So we know it's going to have some kind of a two ranger build. It sounds like. maybe. Um, and then we now get confirmed that one of the other specs could be double axe. Well, is it? But I don't actually think it's that dwarf we have seen. I think it's the other dwarf. So, when you look on all the hero character classes, there is the guy who also looks like a dwarf but has some blue paint in the face. I actually think that is the dwarf that we are getting with double axe. And Pishak is like teasing us all with a new hero class we haven't seen yet.
Got it. That's exciting. And now, with this news, maybe Eugene doesn't have to put so much work into creating your new dream class.
well, yeah, actually, yeah, because I was like, oh no, so that means we're getting a dwarf with two gun ability, two gun specs, and one axe. And I was like, no, because I want a dwarf who had dual wield spec, and then a tank spec, and then maybe a two-handed spec. Okay, I'm basically just saying exactly the same as the warrior almost we have. But just go into the Lord of the Rings universe and think of a dwarf who can be a tank and also damage. That's so cool.
I just want some guns, man.
No guns allowed in the forest.
Oh man. Speaking of two axes, I'm gonna come in there with my two axes and chop some trees.
Oh,
I'm not gonna comment on that.
guns and motorcycles coming in with an axe in your back.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, that's gonna be the back patch on our motorcycle gang vests that we wear. It's a dual axe. That's cool. That's really cool. There's a lot of cool stuff that was talked about.
Yeah,
Shievo, you have more, don't you?
I do have more. Were you about to say something, Dvalin?
No, if you have one more, then
Okay.
I will go in the back of the queue.
Yeah, so there was a question in the Russian community. I didn't actually quote the full question because it was a very long one. I just quoted what I was excited about, and that was the question was: you mentioned that there's going to be weather changing. What can a player expect from that? And they answered, night influences the mob spawn rate.
Mm.
Um, and I'm really excited about that because that could mean that there is some more interaction with the mobs. Like the whole world feels more alive, right? Because if they're willing to influence spawn rate during the night, then might just not only mean that there's more monsters, but also night dwelling monsters like maybe spiders and such that likes to be out during the night. There could be more of those.
Right.
Also, in Warcraft 3, at night, aggressive monsters become neutral. And we could see stuff like that, like wolves are sleeping or something like that. And they're not going to attack you, and you can walk closer to them. Maybe open chests around them, sneak up and open chests while they're sleeping and stuff like that. And I just feel like it makes the whole world feel so much more alive when the weather changes how the monsters are reacting.
And probably more sex robots are active.
True.
I,
Our
I
is going to be so active.
yeah. I wonder if it can be a sex robot crafter. That would be cool.
Like a target dummy. You can get target dummy skins, and one of them is the sex robot from the PN.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. All right. And Dvalin, how you feeling on this day and night cycle?
Well, I mean, it's cool. I just don't hope that um I don't hope it will change the if it's night we only get little like like if the animals are sleeping. I still hope it will be roaming full of the forest with animals, even though it's night and day. But it's also cool if at night it may be a bit more dangerous and at day it's less dangerous. But I don't hope it's like, oh yeah, now it's night. The animals are sleeping. They need 7 hours of sleep, so you come back tomorrow.
Yeah, all right. Fair enough. All right. Dvalin, back to you, and then we'll jump back to Shio for his final Q&A highlight. What was your next questions and answers highlight, Dvalin?
Yeah, one of them, well, my last one is that Pishak, again, I think it was Pishak also with Eugene, but of some of them, they dropped a bomb. They were supposed, oh yeah, they were supposed to go to bed and get their sleep because they have been working overtime, probably some scrub or something like that. And then he just came back randomly when everyone thought he was gone, and he just dropped the bomb and said, "Oh wait, one of the specialization for the orc is a minigun."
Mm.
And And that's pretty sick because we have already seen in the trailer that okay, he can have a big shield and a polearm, he can have a two-handed axe, and now he just confirmed the number three spec is a minigun. But if you ask me, I don't think that was the first spec they was actually in thinking about, because if you look at the trailer where they clicked on him, he has three specialization icons. He has one with a shield, one with a brute face, and then one with two fist weapons. So that means maybe they have actually scrapped the fist weapons, but now we're getting miniguns instead.
Interesting.
Some theory crafting going on.
Exactly.
I always
Yeah.
like a minigun.
I love the minigun. There is a character in League called Ergun, and I think if they steal some of the or will borrow some of the ideas from him to make the minigun shoot fast, that character shoots 3 times every time you right click something, and then every shot deals a third damage, so that they can like do a lot of small hits like that and make it still work really well.
I was actually thinking more at Tychus in the Heroes of the Storm.
I did not play that. You'll have to
Well,
elaborate on it.
Tychus in Heroes of the Storm, you probably maybe played him Boast.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's basically just he's very rapidly firing shots. He's just like spamming shots. It's a minigun that just rotates around. But every time he deals more damage, he's also like getting faster and faster and faster, and he's just getting more insanely. But then if someone goes out of range of him and he stops attacking them, then he has to get up in that speed again. Um, and then his spells are much better, like where he can move around, he can summon some big robots and so on. So I'm kind of thinking the same, that this guy is going to be a guy who's hard moving around, but when he stands still, he is a tower and it doesn't move.
Yeah. Yeah. The mobility is limited. You have to have some sort of either like knockback or jump back to limit range, because you're gonna have a hard time getting out of range. But yeah, the ramp up of the like rotating barrel on the minigun. I also played Vainglory, which is like was kind of the first iPad or iPhone uh, MOBA, and they had a character called Saw in there, and he was also super fun to play. And you would have to time your shots, and if they hit, like Dvalin said, it would start to ramp up and get faster and faster and faster, and do more and more damage. And that's kind of cool. But yeah, these characters are tough to play, because I think a lot of people play them and they think they should just be like some action movie where they're just like blasting everything and a million bullets per second. But um, I think these characters are usually a bit harder to play, because they struggle with that mobility, because if they do have the given the opportunity to ramp up, then they can do massive damage, but it's harder to get there. And I think yeah, these are characters that I think a lot of beginner players pick, and then they realize that, man, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be, because they tend to be higher skill gap, in my opinion, because of those reasons.
Yeah, they do. It's a lot about seeing ahead what's going to happen in 5, 6, 7 seconds, right? Because you're not going to have 2 seconds to move out, right? You need those like multiple, like need like way more time to move out of the way of mechanics from bosses and stuff. So you need to be aware of what's going to happen in the future, so you can stand the right spots and be ready for it.
Exactly. Also, on the flip side of that, to set up your shots and to get in that position where you can get your ramp up and potentially catch someone that someone else has stunned or locked down or whatever. Very cool. Okay. And so, Shiva, that brings us to you. This will be our, if I'm not mistaken, our last highlight from the Q&A session.
Yes, I was actually ahead of myself earlier, because the last question actually confirms the quest arrow
All
that
right.
I was talking about, where the question was, is there an option to disable the quest arrow? And Pishak answered, in Corepunk, we will only show the direction on the initial path, but then you will have to move according to the instructions in the quest. And that confirms what I was talking about earlier with doing quests and how I.
Sure. It's nice to get some solid answer behind what you saw and for yourself when you were watching the 15 minutes of gameplay,
Yeah.
and to actually see it being confirmed there with a solid confirm, and to see their reasons behind it too. He even says sometimes in WoW it could get tiring having to read a page about every quest without any dialogue. So it goes to show that they're doing things for reasons that are positive for the player, which is really cool, and that they're players themselves, and that they are relating their development of this game to their experiences as players. That's cool.
Yeah. Also, really nice to see that he uses the exact same reason I do. To
Yeah.
why it's good.
Yeah.
I'm on the same wavelength there, P-Shang.
Yeah, there you go. Very cool. Unless you guys have anything else, that will be the end of topic 3, the Q&A from the Discord. Nicely done, guys. Some very cool topics to discuss. And if you haven't seen the Q&A, we'll also link to Dvalin's Q&A coverage, because he did make a video where he goes through each and every single question that was answered on the Discord. Hello, and thank you for listening to the CORECAST podcast. It's your host, Boast, and I appreciate you being here. This is a passion project for me around a game that I have high hopes for, something that has blended my absolute favorite genres into what so far looks like could be an absolute masterpiece. And that's where this intensity and this excitement and this passion comes from me. I wanted to give back to the community creatively, and that's how this podcast was born. We're going to be putting it up on our YouTube channel and on our Spotify channel for your consumption. So please don't hesitate to subscribe, like, follow, and join us here at the CORECAST podcast. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for the next topic. All right, welcome back to CORECAST, the Corepunk podcast, here with BOAST, Shievo, and Dvalin. And this brings us to the final topic of the night. And this is where we like to talk about any risks or concerns that we see from whether it's the 15 minutes of gameplay or Q&A sessions or any other content that's coming out. If there's anything that catches our eye that we want to discuss further, because like, for example, when people brought up that they thought that the characters looked really slow, we got a really nice reply from the developers on the fact that you're not actually limited to being that slow. There's ways to increase your movement speed. And I think they will continue to look at that and sort of decide whether or not they want to increase movement speed of the players going forward. But that said, Shievo, you have sort of risk or concern that you wanted to talk about. So why don't you
Yes.
start, and then we can discuss.
I do. So we were watching an archer character when we were watching the gameplay. And my main concern comes to the abilities that the archer character had. So the thing that I saw was there was a really long cooldown on the abilities, at least 4 seconds, and a lot of them seems like you press them, you just keep them all in like cooldown, and then you forget about them because they all give you damage. We don't know what her E ability does. She never showed us, but we know that the Q and the W, one is a net, the other is a rain of arrows, and her ultimate was something I'd like to call the Hunter's Mark from World of Warcraft. And it felt like you pressed all of the buttons and then you just sat there and waited for the monsters to die, and it felt like there was a lot of downtime in that. And also the auto attack-in could use a little brush up so they feel more snappy and responsive. It didn't feel as responsive once you was clicking, but I haven't sat with the actual game, so that's just an assumption, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. This is something that I always looked for when I was playing games for characters specifically that had like a nice rotation through abilities. And by the time I was finished going through sort of my rotation or my combinations, I would be back to the beginning again. The best that I found for that was the engineer in Guild Wars 2. And this is, I think, because the engineer was a little unique, where um, their abilities weren't just based on their weapons, but they also had toolkits that they could rotate through. So you could rotate through a couple toolkits and through your weapons as well. And you would have this really nice kind of synergy flowing between there. And this is much nicer than, as you mentioned, like having to wait and then just auto clicking through while you're waiting.
Yeah.
Dvalin, what was your feel on that?
Mm, it's I don't think I have any big concerns regarding that. Um, as we only have 4 abilities that's going to be actively, but we still have the artifacts that is still adding 6 additionally buttons maybe per active. So if you add those together, you actually can end up in a situation with 12 abilities. So if your ability is having 4 second cooldown, is that bad?
Oh, that sounds awesome. I'm a guy
Exactly.
that likes a lot of buttons ready.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
It's up to you if you want to have active or passively artifacts. I'm a passive guy. I like to just have a lot of passive going on, and then I just have 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4 spells. But if you want to be, I'm sure if you really can handle it, I'm sure the active one is going to be the strongest. But it also requires, you need to know your combo.
Yes, I actually ended up discussing this on the Copunk Discord. And we all agreed that because we have only seen level 8 so far, and just like in League of Legends, if you look at a level 2 or level 1 character, they really don't have anything going on for them. Like they feel slow to play, they feel clunky to play. And they have one button that they have to wait forever before they can press again. And that's kind of how the low level gets. And then once you get to level 11, 16, you start getting so much power and abilities and attack speed and stuff like that, that your character starts feeling so responsive and good, and your abilities almost always ready for when you need them and stuff like that.
Yeah, and now you're on this point.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you another question close to
sure.
this one. You saw every time that enemies casted a spell against the person who played, we see red dots on the ground where the spell is hitting. But every time the player was casting spells, you didn't see any feedback for where you actually casted it.
Yeah.
Should there be also for people who cast it? If I cast a volley over there, so it rain with arrows. I mean, if I see red dots all over the ground all the time from enemies, should they also then add blue so I can see why I casted my spell, or is the visuals from the spell enough?
I really thought personally that this was just something that was an early implementation of it. It felt like it was just missing for the archer, and that the red dots for the enemies didn't look final either. It just felt like a alpha um, position of these things. I didn't really take like too much concern with it.
Yeah, and you're right. It is probably still alpha thing. I would really like a white circle around where I throw my things, blue circles where my teammates throw it, maybe. Just because when you look at the rain of arrows, the arrows is seemingly random where they fall from the sky, right? But the actual space that deals damage is probably a circle, and I would like to see that circle so it's not So it's more clear what you hit and what you didn't, without it just being the health going down.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they wouldn't have that. That's just my opinion and my take on it. But I when I saw that, I thought, oh, they just don't have it implemented yet.
Yeah, I mean, and also if we go back to other games like World of Warcraft, they don't have red or blue on the ground, but they have so much graphic in the spells that you're not, you're not confused about where the spell is because there is so much going on the ground with the spell. If Death
Yeah,
Knight throws Stefan DK, you can see the blood boiling on the ground.
right, with effects.
Yeah.
And yeah, and effects is polish. You know what I mean? Like that's another reason why I think it's just it was just where the game's at right now. In my
I would not
yeah,
mind if it was just a red circle, to be honest. That might
I
just be me.
I don't think it would be like that. You would
No.
like that or no?
I wouldn't mind if it was just a red circle on the ground, kind of like if you saw. Well, you both tried Wildstar, right? And
Yeah.
Wildstar was just a red square or a circle on the ground where it was gonna come. It with some graphics in them, so it wasn't just like a PNG they put on the ground. But yeah,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't mind something like that at all. There was a very interesting point brought up by, oh, I can't remember who it was, somebody in the Corepunk Discord who said, what if you're in PvP, right? So it's very responsive and very easy to dodge things in PvP. My initial thought is that you can see the character look a direction and shoot arrows that direction, so you know he's going to AoE at some point from her and that direction, right? So there is some outplay opportunity when it comes to that. But so personally, I don't think that there should be a circle from when she shoots it, but maybe from when it lands.
Yeah, that comes down to just balancing abilities and balancing visuals and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe that's the point is for now you just don't see where it's going to go
Yeah.
because of that reason. But I'm I feel very strongly that we're just not seeing the final form of these abilities. Yeah, I think it's just early.
Yeah, definitely still just early.
Yeah, guys, this has been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything else that you would like to discuss before we say goodnight?
No, I got through everything on mine.
Dvalin?
Yeah, the last message is I just hope that we are going to see next month, July, because a very interesting point is that right now we are in June and we actually were, if the plan was sticked, we actually were supposed to see the gameplay video last month and then this month we should see the live stream. But now we saw the video this week because of the delay. So that theoretically means that we should actually see the live stream in July, but they haven't said anything about it.
Yeah.
No. And they were really tight on getting this out. I think Eugene said he was up for 48 hours and then slept for 1 hour to get that video ready.
Yeah.
So something tells me that they can't just keep crunching to get the stream out, but I believe that they're going to do their best. They just have no idea if they're going to make it for July.
But again, I feel like if they're going to do a live stream, I don't feel like they have to do much. If they can show us they're creating a character, they are walking around killing some low level creatures, and just answering questions directly on the chat, that would be fine with me.
That would be awesome. I'm up for it. I want to see a dungeon though. We all do.
100%. But again, I'm not.
Yeah.
For the first live stream, they can show whatever they want. If they want to show
Okay.
me only the character creator choosing between green and pink hair, I'm all hyped.
And then they can start doing that as their Q&A. Instead of doing it on Discord, they can do it as streams. So we
Yeah.
get more, it feels more responsive from the developers that way. And then they can promise us more streams. And then at some point, they can surprise us with like a special stream where they add more to it, right? And it doesn't have to be Corepunk content going in the background every single time, right? It can sometimes just be, we have nothing to show you today, so it's just going to be us answering your questions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they have. And though that said, though, Dvalin, don't you think like some people would be disappointed if it was just what you mentioned, character creator or so?
Yeah, well, that's the problem because I'm gonna say it, but I'm probably one of the good fans of the game that if they just show me Well,
Oh,
yeah, don't get
man.
it wrong. Don't get it wrong. But I'm one of the good fans who, if they just show me a picture or a long text, or if they show me a little video clip, I'm getting happy and hyped. But of course, there's gonna be all the other fans of the game who will demand. I only want a finger of Eugene, but there's a lot of people out there who want his whole arm.
So
You're on
I think you
fire
meant
today.
patient, not good. Let's
Yeah.
say patient.
Yeah,
Man, you got your two axes, and now you're on a warpath.
He's already in dwarf mode.
Yes, I like it. Yeah,
Angry
it's a fair
Viking
point, though.
noises.
It's a fair point. It's hard to please everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I mean, all I want is a Eugene shirt and a Irene shirt and a P-Shack shirt, so I can like switch between them throughout the week. Yeah, so they should get on that, so I can start buying them.
I hear you. I think for me, like, just having that that live stream with this live moment with the community together, everyone going nuts in the chat and spamming and going crazy and being hyped and excited. For me, I think it's enough just for that, just to get the community together off of Discord for a little while and like out, online
Writing
together.
exclamation mark claim in chat, so everybody thinks they can write it to get the beta, and you see chat spamming it.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what I look forward to.
Yeah, I do too. They probably do have to show something new in the live stream, because else there's going to be an uproar in the community. But
Yeah, so that's the tough part, because now they have to worry about that and what they show and if it's enough and
it's hyped
all
up
that.
now, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they didn't even hype it up that much. They just said that there was going to be longer gameplay.
Right. Which is the tough part. We talked about this before on the podcast. It's like, you can not say anything, and everyone's always asking for more gameplay, but then you show more gameplay, and then it's not enough. So
Yeah.
it's tough, but yeah, we're the good fans here.
We're the good fans. We're the patient ones.
Yeah. Yeah, we're stoked for this game. I can tell you that, and it makes these conversations super fun for me. And I really appreciate you guys joining me tonight,
was a
as
blast.
always. Yeah, we got to have you back, Shievo, for sure.
Sounds good. I'd be happy to.
For sure. I want to try and do some like maybe like 4 or 5 people together on a live stream podcast and see how that goes. That could be pretty crazy, but it could also be pretty fun. Just get people's opinions on stuff and get talking. But we'll get there when we get there. In the meantime, we're excited for the new content we saw, and the Q&A was also really awesome. So excited to see what's next.
Can I say a last note?
Absolutely. You've earned it. You're a good fan.
I'm a good fan. Well, they actually said in the Q1 update that in June I'm actually saying exactly what they're writing. We may even invite some streamers to play and stream the game. We'll see about that. So
Oh man, you're opening old wounds.
So I can't wait to play with them.
Yeah.
well, exactly. I'm just saying that if everything was on schedule, I'll probably have played Corepunk this month.
Oh, you're also calling them out for it. You're gonna be like me.
Oh man.
No.
Same, actually.
You
Yeah, I
were
should
a
have played
good
Corepunk
fan
too.
before that comment.
No. I'm just saying that if that has been when I read it back then, I was saying, I was thinking, whoa, okay, I'm gonna play this game in June. But again, they're saying streamers. I'm basically a YouTuber, so I'm not even sure if that's include me. But again, that maybe means next month I will get maybe hands on.
They can just fly us out, Dvalin. Like, I'll be your plane partner, and then we just go over there and we play, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can take the plane tomorrow if they want.
Man. No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure, guys. This has been CoreCast, the Corepunk podcast, episode 7. Boast here with Shievo and Dvalin. And yes, it's been a great time, and I can't wait to have these guys back again. Look forward to it, guys. Any last? Actually, Dvalin, you're done. Shievo, do you got any last comments for your fans and friends?
Oh, I have a huge comment for my fans. I am gonna upload another YouTube video at some point when I have something fun to upload.
Awesome.
Yeah, look
Awesome. We
forward
did
to
see
it.
some rabbits in that 15
There
minutes
was
of
some
gameplay.
rabbits, that is true, and I have to remember to count these while counting everything else.
Yeah, rabbits video
Yeah.
part 2, I think. All right, guys. On behalf of these two and the rest of the Corepunk fans, Artificial Core and Corepunk, big shout out to you guys. Keep doing your thing. Keep grinding. Keep doing such a great job. We are here for you, and we can't wait to see what you guys come up with next. Again, this has been the CoreCast podcast. I've been Boast here with Shievo and Dvalin, and we will see you next time on CoreCast.